My name is Barbara Beckett, and I am 72 years old and very happy to have reached this age because my mother's side of the family all had heart conditions. I have not, thank heavens, had a heart issue, but my husband did. 7 years ago, he had triple bypass surgery for a heart attack, and afterwards he was on a walker, bent over, and it took him a long time because he had orthostatic hypotension after he had the surgery. That is, every time he would go to stand up, his blood pressure would drop and he would fall down. So part of his recovery, thank heavens, we were introduced to cardiopulmonary rehab. And he is wonderful. Today he's 80 years old. He is working out at the PRMC cardiac pulmonary fitness center. We come here probably 3 or 4 times a week.
My name's Ed Tudor. I'm the Director of Development Review and Permitting for Worcester County. I've been with the county for 25 years. Heart disease actually runs in my family on the male side, not on the female side, but my dad died of a heart attack as well as my paternal grandfather. So very familiar with heart disease. As far as 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with Leriche disease, or Leriche syndrome, which is a blockage of the abdominal aorta and femoral arteries. So at 51 years old, I was 21 days after diagnosis on the operating table, going through major surgery to get all that repaired. Prior to that, I was a 2.5 pack a day smoker, drank 2 pots of coffee a day, didn't exercise, ate whatever I wanted, and basically didn't take care of myself. I told myself before going in the operating room that if I survived, I was going to make some substantive changes in my lifestyle, which I did. I quit smoking, I altered my diet, I gave up drinking coffee, and started on an exercise regimen, which I've continued to do.
Michelle McGowan. I'm the clinical coordinator for community education. I work for Atlantic General Hospital in the population health department.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
It is.
So, Michelle, when you hear the words heart healthy, what does that mean to you?
Well, heart healthy really is taking care of yourself in many different ways and making sure that you are following a healthy diet, taking care of your body by exercising, and making sure that you're getting enough physical activity. Exercising and physical activity.
Both, yes. Not just exercise, but both of them. All right, so have you or anybody that you were close to experienced heart disease?
Yes, so actually one of the reasons why I decided to become a nurse is because my father had 3 heart attacks when I was a teenager. He was only 37 years old, and the doctors didn't actually know that he was having heart attacks because he really didn't fit the mold. So it was actually an entire weekend that he sat on the couch hugging a pillow, saying he felt like an elephant was sitting on his chest. So he went to the doctor Monday morning, and they said, maybe it's your gallbladder. Why don't you go to the hospital and get some blood drawn? So he went to the hospital, and the nurse looked at him and said, let's do an EKG. I think we should check your heart. And they did, and he was having a heart attack. And when they took him into the emergency heart procedure to do a cardiac catheterization and put stents in, they realized that he had had 2 previous heart attacks. So I went through a lot of changes as a teenager. My mother changed the way that our family ate, made everything a lot more heart healthy. Less junk food, more lean meats, a lot more family exercise. And my father's fine. He's still living. He's in his mid-50s, and I'm really happy. The reason why I became a nurse is to help people make better decisions by educating them and helping them to make informed decisions and know that it's really important to take care of yourself. Well, my heart health, I really am starting to make a lot of lifestyle changes. I recently had a child a couple years ago, and when women have children, they start to take care of their children instead of themselves. So I recently became a lifestyle coach with the CDC's diabetes prevention program, and over the past several months I've actually lost over 30 pounds and getting a lot more physical activity than I have recently. So getting at least 150 minutes a week, and when you break it down, it's really not all that hard. 30 minutes a day, most days of the week. The things that I like to do, yoga or yoga lattes. It's kind of a combination of yoga poses and Pilates movements. So as long as you get your heart rate moving, it doesn't matter what.
Celeste Brissett.
Also known as,
CJ.
and I'm Jim Brissett, also known here at the university as Dr. Brissett.
I think a lot of people think that it means your diet and eating right, that's all part of it, but it's really doing things that are good for your health. It's your overall health. It's, there's the spiritual, the physical, the emotional, all of those aspects.
Yeah, I mean, she cooks fat-free, cholesterol. I mean, I am fortunate, married to a nurse, that I don't have to watch what I eat because I've got somebody watching what I eat for me. But some of the other things about being healthy are things that we know about keeping a body mass index below 25 so you're not getting overweight or obese. Being physically active, thinking about physical health is something beyond physical health, to include the emotional, spiritual, because they all work together. So it's really a holistic approach.
It's your lifestyle choices.
Yeah. Some lifestyle choices that, you can choose to be sedentary. And that's what got to me when I took this job. Sitting down a lot, wasn't active, and that's what helped me realize that I need to get active again. On 13th of October, we were out in Tucson, Arizona, and I woke up Saturday morning. We were getting ready to fly out at the airport. We were staying at the hotel at the airport, and I thought I'd get up and start working on the laptop while she slept. And then I thought, well, I won't do that because it's very quiet. But I was feeling edgy. I felt like I had to do something. And I felt some tension in my shoulders and my neck and my forearms. But long story short, it turned out, I said, well, this can't be a heart attack because I don't fit the profile. I don't have high cholesterol. My low density lipids are fantastic, 100 and below. My HDLs are 55 and 60 and above, which is good. I was a little overweight, maybe, just probably 5 to 10 pounds overweight. And I was convincing myself I wasn't having a heart attack. Fortunately, the Veterans Administration Hospital was only 10 minutes from the airport. And walked into the ER, which was a little bit of comedy of errors, but got myself into my own room, lucky room number 7. I was happy to see, room number 7, that's got to be good luck. Not room number 13, that was good. And put myself in the care of the VA, and they did a great job.
I am Tiffany Scott. I'm a community health educator at Worcester County Health Department, and I basically help preventative efforts for people to be well. Heart health to me means making those choices every day to do things that nourish your mind, your body, your soul, just make you feel good, like laughing.
Okay.
Me personally, I make those choices every day and make the best choices I can. I try to eat right. I try to, get some physical activity in, whether it's just running around with my nieces and nephews. I practice meditation. That's something I do constantly so I can stay mentally healthy. And I read a lot, and that's nourishing for me. My favorite ways to stay active, I think I really become to love yoga. In addition to that, I do like the strength training with Travis, but I gotta get back to it. It's a journey. Okay, I think it was like 3 years ago. I was seeing my endocrinologist regularly for another health issues, and yearly he would say, you know, you need to make these lifestyle changes. You need to lose weight. You need to eat better and do some physical exercise. Refer me to a nutritionist. But I guess at the time I just really was not ready. You know, I thought I ate pretty well. You know, I could have improved on the physical activity, but so, you know, fast forward like 2 years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, he told me I had diabetes. So my motivating factor was the fact that he ordered me that glucometer, and I would have to stick my finger every day to test my blood sugar. I don't like pain, so that was not appealing. So I, you know, made those lifestyle changes, and you know, it's been.
My name is Karen Reagan. I work for the Crisfield Somerset County Times with Independent News out of Dover, Delaware. And I have been with them for 6 years, and I also work with disaster relief. Means that you eat right, you play right, and you work right.
Define playwright.
Playwright means that when you do activities, I used to base all my activities around what restaurant are we going to go to. And now what I do is I actually, like we went to Busch Gardens for the Winterfest. We find things that we can walk and be active with it. My husband actually, once I started this program of changing my life style, he joined in. So now we went DC and did all the museums one day, and we have rearranged our activity level into, we want to be moving. So I trick myself into also walking, because that's my favorite activity, is walking. And I trick myself with a treadmill by, I only watch certain shows and certain series if I'm on the treadmill with my Kindle. And so, although I'm not a fitness guru, I purchased the Fitbit so that I can maintain the steps I need to keep the heart healthy, and that's how I entertain myself to do that.
I really like that. That's a good idea that I'm going to steal, because you get stuck in one of those like Netflix series that you just want to binge, but if you make the rule you can only watch it
if I'm on the treadmill. And you'll put in an hour without even thinking, because the show is good enough. And I hated doing the treadmill before then, and I don't mind outside as much, but if on the treadmill it's just too boring. But I could make my mind do it.
Such a good idea.
I was 3 years ago, I had a 42.1 BMI, which means I was morbidly obese. I was 238 pounds at 5'3". I had asthma, I had sleep apnea, I was diabetic to the point where I was 8.5 A1C, which is way too high. And I had high blood pressure. And that was my awakening day when I went to the doctor and I seen all that, and I thought, if I'm more than halfway through my life and this is where I sit, what do I look forward to? And so I made a huge change in my lifestyle. I did some study on my own, talked to my doctor, and one of the biggest things that I did was go low carb. That was a big change for me. And people are scared of it, but it really works. And I do low sugar, of course. And actually, I've actually started a Facebook page, Eating Healthy in Delmarva, and we share those, and people are joining it all the time. I just ran into someone at the Food Lion last night, and he goes, "Okay, I just found your page. You know, can you share with me, recipes?" And he says, "I got one that you'll love with spaghetti squash." And that's my goal. I've now experimented to the point where I take regular meals that we're used to that take a carb, like a noodle, and I figure out a way to make it not only low carb, so it's tasty. And I have a small groups on Wednesdays through our church that come together, and there's 12 of us, and they are my testing field. And they have ate everything and loved everything, or they're good liars. I don't know which, but it really has worked. And some people have picked up some of the things that I do, like the cut your potatoes in half with cauliflower, and there's just a wide variety that you can do. Our lifestyle as Americans is to put it between bread, to put it in pasta. It really is. And you really have to rethink it. Everywhere I go, I can find low carb. A lot of the sub shops will put it in a bowl. Jimmy John's puts it in a wrap. There are options when I go to anywhere I go. Like if I go to Texas Roadhouse, I can get 2 vegetables, side salad, and a steak, and I'm full. You know, so you just have to think it through, and you have to realize this is your lifetime.
So Kathy Wool, have you or anyone in your family had a history of heart disease?
Well, it's funny you should ask that. Yes, I lost my grandfather at age 50. He had a massive heart attack. And my mother, interestingly enough, she wasn't a very strong cardiac person either, because she had, back when she was in her 50s, she had a quadruple bypass, which is 4 bypasses, because she had coronary artery disease. And then 9 years later, she had 5 more. So she had a total of 9. So my family witnessed a lot of trauma with my mom being rushed to the hospital. In fact, she was in Alaska when she had one of her heart attacks, and she was on the Denali Preserve and had to be flown out. So, you know, I kind of watched my mother and watched the scenario of what she was going through, and I think my family, my siblings, my dad, we were all committed to not following that track. So I tried my hardest to implement some changes back when I was younger and not a dietitian, just trying to prevent the same scenario happening that was part of my family growing up. Well, heart health to me means every day paying attention to what you're doing for your overall, I guess, not just your cardiac status, but just your general health. So I pay attention every day to what I eat, what I do, and really try to apply some good behaviors to that.
Okay. And so what do you specifically do yourself?
Specifically, I eat well every day. As maybe a dietitian, I have a little more of that knowledge, but you know, you may have the knowledge, but you don't have the do unless you prioritize it and make it important in your life. So I plan meals. I do eat a lot of vegetarian. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. I eat a lot of whole grains. I have cheat days and I do things, but they're so seldom and so few that there's no impact probably on my overall health. I also exercise every day. I really do not miss a day of exercise. I am out there, rain, snow, sleet, just like the mailman. And I lift weights, I run, I walk, I just stay very active. Even if I take my grandchildren to the park or to the playground, I play on the equipment with them. I don't sit on the bench. So it's always been a priority to me to do something every single day and not let it take a second seat to the priorities that I do in my daily life.
See, I've always heard that you're supposed to get at least 30 minutes of physical activity every day. Is that something that you strive for?
Absolutely, 30 minutes or more. That's the minimum, so it's always good to get more. And if you don't have the time, you make the time. We all have the same 24 hours. We all have a lot of commitments, and you want to just make it as important as the other things that you do. If not, it does go by the wayside very easily. I've been teaching people in the county a long time how to just implement some of these changes to make it easier on them. And I do believe once you're doing it, it becomes the fabric of you. You don't have to think about eating well anymore. You don't even have to think about exercising. It just happens because you enjoy it and you like it as part of your lifestyle.
Yeah, you know what they say is motivation is for today, discipline is forever.
Forever. Yep. And that's a good saying, because you know, if you're disciplined, and I do believe it's not willpower, it's discipline, making it happen. And I would do anything in my power to always make it happen. And I'm going to be 65, so if I can do it, people can do it no matter what their age.
All right, well, thank you very much, Kathy.
Thank you.
Taking part.